Time out. It's Kelsito, the spirit coach, getting your ass in shape and form for the age of Aquarius. Yeah, again. We got this one today. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about this one, why the path of least resistance sucks. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I see it. You know what I'm saying? That's what kind of makes sense to me and shit like that. And the path of least resistance sucks. You know, because, you know, that's like a one big thing, you know what I'm saying, in the motherfucking, in the peace and light community, the love and light community, you know what I'm saying, the spiritual community, the conscious community, you know what I'm saying. You know, if you look up the path of least resistance, you know, you might get confused based on how a person is using this and using these words. You know what I'm saying? And using these terms and shit like that. And depending on how you take that as a spirit, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't understand language, you don't understand words or spells, and you don't understand, you know, the power of words and shit like that. You're not actually kind of, you know, picking up on the undercurrent of what's actually going on and things of that nature. So when we talk about the path of least resistance, so what are you actually saying? So when you talk about the path of least resistance, you know what I'm saying? What you're saying is that you want to take the path of less obstacles, less amount of challenge, less amount of unfamiliarity and definition. Because, you know, obstacles is what you need to, you know what I'm saying, to strengthen, you know, your actual spiritual travel. You know, fight is what you need to strengthen your spiritual travel. Unfamiliarity is what you need to strengthen, you know what I'm saying, familiarity. And so you can get familiar with spaces that you haven't gone to as if in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? Definition. Definition is a space where you go to as a spirit, you know what I'm saying, to define yourself more and shit like that. And when something has more definitions, it has more resistance. So it has been cut up, it has experience. So it, you know, it moves a certain way based on, you know what I'm saying, gaining its own definition. What up, Rasta? Gaining its own definition. So yeah, when you talk about the path of least of resistance, you know what I'm saying, you're saying you want the path of least obstacles, you want the path of least challenges, you want the path of least unfamiliarity, and you want the path of least definition. And what we all know is water, which you are, stars is water. Water currents likes to flow through all things and take all paths. So water don't even discriminate. So, you know, whoever is using this message is trying to direct you into a specific path, okay? Because for the most part, you know what I'm saying, last time I checked, you have many relationships, you have many situations, you have many spaces you like to be in, and they all play out different in resistance on percentage level. So the ones you like to be in the most have the most resistance because you like to be in that space. So you don't want to see yourself out of that space, or you don't want to see yourself out of that spot, or you don't want to see yourself that. So that one's going to have the most resistance to the point where you can, if you don't get that space, you will even cry, you know what I'm saying, and create water to come out your motherfucking eyes. You know what I'm saying? So this is let you know as spirits, you know what I'm saying, we create resistance. So anytime we want to take the path of least resistance, I'm sorry. So this lets you know as spirits, we create resistance. So anytime we want to experience a certain space relative to where we are at, you know, in our life, you know what I'm saying, but we have a vision of a dream or a motherfucking thought or a feeling, you know what I'm saying, or a mind that we want to experience. This is let you know what we're doing. We creating resistance. So this lets you know as spirit, we create resistance. So anytime you want to experience certain space relative to where you're at, this is what you do. This is what you do. You create a resistance. You create, you know, the ability to see yourself there and then go through the certain obstacles, the certain challenges, the certain motherfucking situations and circumstances that you have to go through to rise above that situation. So since we are water, we're always moving and changing and as well. You know what I'm saying? So this lets you know that we never in one space. So this lets you know we're like water. We never can actually hold on to one thing for too long. We never can actually hold on to a thought or a feeling for too long. You get what I'm saying? So we always changing. So when we get into what y'all actually saying, when you want to take the path of least resistance, you saying you want the path of least amount of obstacles, of least amount of challenge, and the least amount of definition. So how are you going to get anything you want taking that path? You know what I'm saying? Now, because like I said, when it comes to what you actually want, you know what I'm saying, that be the space that you want to be in all the time. So therefore, you know what I'm saying, that's the space that you as a spirit might cling on to. And you as a spirit clinging on to that space, you know what I'm saying, that you want to be in all the time and shit like that, like being in that space, that's going to create resistance and shit like that. What up, Holly? What's good? We got to drop that Kanye track too soon. But yeah, so, you know what I'm saying, because you like to be in that space, you know what I'm saying, and since we're always changing and shit like that, that's going to create resistance. So, because if I feel like my life, say for instance, like if I feel my life calling is to like run water, basically, a running water system, I'm gonna go through what I need to go through to learn it, because the obstacles matter none. That's what's calling me to be. I feel like that's who I am and shit like that. And so as a spirit, we're not this body for the most part. We're using this body to experience what our mind wants, what we think we want, what we feel we want, and shit like that. So that's the space where we're in. We're not this body. So, you know, when you follow the path of least resistance in a way these demons will teach you, you give your creative power up, because like I said, resistance is something we create by our ability to see ourselves somewhere. And who's to say how you see yourself ain't you and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, we live in a world where there's many different spirits and many different ways they move and shit like that. And we got motherfuckers trying to define us all the time in some way, shape, or form. But the more you can go through and create that resistance, aka don't give in to what this person's saying about you. Don't give in to this thought. Don't give in to this feeling. Don't give in to that. You become invisible, esoterically speaking, but this is you going through the necessary changes and the needs to be in the space that you want to be as in the spirit. And when you're in that space and shit like that, the universe can't do anything but give you what you're actually being and shit like that. And like I said, you will be tested. So like I said, if I wanted to create a water system and shit like that, and that was my calling, I'm gonna go through what's necessary that I need to know and to learn and create the motherfucking water system. And once I successfully do that once, guess what? I gotta do that shit again. I gotta do that shit again. Okay, once I do that shit once, I gotta do that shit again. And so it's always changing. So it's called like the first high. So you know what I'm saying? You first go to the job, you do it one time and shit like that. Well, guess what? You gotta do it again. And so the resistance, if you like being on that space, you're gonna go through the resistance to maintain that space and shit like that, because that space is more so representative of your experience. And if you don't, what up, pretty boy Mike? And if you don't necessarily go through the challenge, go through the resistance, go through the fight, go through the motherfucking go through the motherfucking definition that you gotta go through the motherfucking, motherfucking obstacles you gotta go through, then that's not you taking that's you taking the path of least resistance. And like I said, that don't really add up when it comes to what you as a spirit like to experience. So any real spirit in life is going to tell you, no, don't take the path of least resistance, go in the direction that you need to learn, so you can learn what you need to learn for yourself and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you got to do. That's how you got to look at it. You know what I'm saying? That's what a real spirit motherfucking gonna do. A real spirit gonna tell you, man, do what you need to do for what you need to do. If that's you, then do what you need to do because you need to do it, because that's you. What up, boom? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So think about any time your mama try to drag you in a path of least resistance. That wasn't excited. Don't do this. Don't do this. Hell no, you weren't feeling that shit. You know what I'm saying? You just gonna jump off the motherfucking thing and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? You gonna bump your own head. Why? Because that teaches experience. That teaches you how to trust yourself. That teaches you how to, you know what I'm saying, be your motherfucking self. That teaches you how to define yourself. That teaches you challenge obstacles and all the shit that you need to know to sufficiently create the actual resistance that you need to sustain that space, if that's your calling. But for the most part, since we're in a world where we get birthed, and we get lost into the mind, and then so since we're taught we are we are the flesh and we are, you know what I'm saying, the body in some way, shape, or form based on, you know, school and shit like that, how they rock us to see. This was gets us into the space of being comfortable, you know what I'm saying, with taking the path of least resistance because, you know what I'm saying, we forget about our dreams, we forget about our vision, we forget about, you know what I'm saying, our hopes, we forget about the ability to create that feeling of passion, to create resistance. Resistance is created, you know what I'm saying? Resistance is created, you know what I'm saying? You create resistance. Anytime you want to see yourself somewhere and you're not there in this physical form, you know what I'm saying, you create that motherfucking resistance, okay? So, yeah, so if you got a thought, let's say if I had a thought and I wanted to go to the store that I usually go to, but my car got stolen last week, okay? Let's say if I had a thought like that. If I had a thought and I wanted to go to the store, but my car got stolen last week, based on me not having that vehicle, you know what I'm saying, and me being used to having one, the path of least resistance will feel like me having that motherfucking car, or having that sense of familiarity, or having that sense of, you know what I'm saying, that shit. But you see, the thoughts, feelings, and shit like that, attachments die as well, and shit like that. So yeah, you can have a thought about you having a car, but if it's that motherfucking time to go, you know what I'm saying, and you don't have that motherfucker, what happened to that thought? What happened to that feeling? It expired. It died. It motherfucker, it transitioned and shit like that. So possessions come and go, take different forms, you know what I'm saying? Water transitions differently. Okay, and your body is 90% water, so you know what I'm saying, who changed it? You change it, motherfucker, and shit like that. And so the more you cling on to shit, you know what I'm saying, the more you don't want to let go of changes, you know what I'm saying, the more you motherfucking get lost in the sauce with the shit, you know what I'm saying. So you have to understand changes and transitions as well, okay? And you can't control the world, because the world always gonna change, you know what I'm saying. You can't control the world and shit like that. So the only thing you can learn about is transition and how to get better with transition. And that's when we get into things like astrology, you know what I'm saying, and spirituality and the shit that we showing. So so now we know that resistance builds strength, it builds knowledge, it builds character. Okay, so when you take the path of least resistance, that's like taking the path of something shit everybody else did and shit like that. And don't nothing come new out of that path. Don't nothing exciting come new out of that path. Don't no definition come new out of that path. Don't nothing, you know what I'm saying? So you just got to be careful. Now, I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, you can't necessarily take path and take a break or some shit like that, get some rest and shit like that, get some regeneration, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying, ain't nothing worth having not going through resistance for and shit like that. So yeah, that's what you need to know, unless you want to, you know what I'm saying, watch out, you know, you want to take a motherfucking shortcut. And that's what you got to be careful, because, you know, a lot of these spiritual teachers, you know what I'm saying, Alan Flocks and shit like that, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, they'll be speaking a certain way, but really training your subconscious mind, and you will be thinking you're saying the right thing, but no, it's not the right thing and shit like that. Listen to what you're saying. You want to take the path of least obstacles, least challenge, least familiarity and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So you want it easy and shit like that. And ain't nothing worth having is easy. And so once you start there, you know what I'm saying, finish there, you know what I'm saying, that's what it is, okay? Now, this is how you take the path of resistance the right way, okay? If you were going to fucking take it. So you got to create a desire, a feeling that completely yours. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. It ain't got nothing to do with receiving anything, any vision, any outcome, you know what I'm saying? But you got to create that feeling. And once you get that feeling, you want to freeze in it, on it, and you want to hold in on it and be willing to preserve. And that's going to play out like your motivation. You know what I'm saying? That's going to play out like your motherfucking passion. So damn near any resistance that you come within your space and shit like that, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be in that space, and you're going to be in resistance to whatever comes in your space that don't necessarily agree with your spirit and shit like that. And so, and yes, I'm not saying that this is not going to take different forms and shit, because you shouldn't be attached to anything. That's why I said feeling, because feeling ain't dealing with vision. You know what I'm saying? It ain't dealing with how somebody look. You know what I'm saying? Feeling ain't dealing with air. It ain't dealing with no information. You know what I'm saying? Feeling ain't dealing with, you know what I'm saying, earth. It ain't dealing with no sense of practicality. You know what I'm saying? It's just a feeling. So you want to create that feeling, and you want to freeze it, and you want to preserve it and shit like that, and be willing to take that feeling that you have about yourself or whatever under any circumstance or situation, and make sure it's to the point where you treat it as your responsibility. And you gonna say and you take that for you, And you want that whether regardless it's in this lifetime or the next, because for the most part it ain't necessarily about, you know what I'm saying, being it ain't necessarily about being achieving it in this lifetime. It's about that it's you. You know what I'm saying? It's about that it's you. So you're resisting to against things that are not you. And that's how you take the motherfucking path of least resistance. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll trick y'all with Taoism and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Now we all, you know what I'm saying, feeling like, you know, we gotta get shepherded into doing the traditional work and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, ain't nothing wrong with these things and using them as your motherfucking stepping stones to get to point A to point B and things of that nature. But when you go into these areas and spaces like that, you know what I'm saying, you want to know that this is what you're doing and shit like that. So yeah, you don't want to take the path of least resistance. Like I said, you know what I'm saying, water, last time I checked, water don't care. It flows through all circumstances and situations. You got all types of relationships, and they all got different resistance levels and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But the ones you like to be in the most, you know what I'm saying, those are the ones that's going to develop the most resistance and shit like that. But the more you fight through that little struggle and shit like that in relationship to whatever it is you want, but don't make it about that actual person, place, or thing. Be open. Let God, you know, use you and flow through you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, use different avenues and shit like that. And some avenues may look harder than the other one, but you always, as a spirit, deep down know which one or which avenue that you're supposed to take based on you having a certain space to stand up in to take on the resistance that you need to be for you. So because you got to have a vision, and if you don't got no vision, or if you ain't got no way to see yourself, you know what I'm saying, you won't create resistance. You won't create, you know what I'm saying, you motherfucking having that powerful feeling to motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, you know, you won't create that resistance. And that's it. So you know what I'm saying, that's it. It's pretty simple, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, motherfucker, get on your motherfucking path, you know what I'm saying? And don't take the path of least resistance. Take the path with the fucking resistance that you need and shit like that. And when you say I'm taking the path of resistance that I need for me to reach my certain space that I'm gonna be in and shit like that, that's when you do it in God's way. Motherfucker, we gonna see you there. You know what I'm saying? With Cito and them. Alright? Get your ass in the game.